Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we're going to discuss the 2013 horror book, which is made for kids because it's a scholastic book, Deck Z, The Titanic, Unsinkable Undead, co-written by Chris Pauls and Matt Solomon. So Deck Z, The Titanic, right? Very simplified version of that. Deck Z, The Titanic. 222 pages. I just calculated. I read a total of 11,803 pages throughout all of 2023. I think that was the number. It was 11,000 something. Um, I've never read that much within a year. I've never documented as well as going through it as well. So it's pretty cool. So obviously the goal now is to read more than that come next year, pending availability. So we'll see. We'll see how that works. I'm very impressed that I continuously documented everything, especially within regards to the 5 months of Goosebumps books that I read, we discussed. Now, Deck Z, right? We start out, the prologue starts out in 2012, I believe. Let me just get that back up. Yeah, February of 2012. It ends April of 2012. As in the epilogue is April of 2012, right before the 100th year anniversary celebration, if you will, because there's a new exhibit opening in Vegas. And within regards to the prologue, divers are in a submersible. They're salvaging, if you will, from the wreck, and which you shouldn't be doing. And so they're taking china, they're taking dishes, things, right, for museums and for private collections. And then there's a metal cylinder. They're like, that's not on any manifest. We don't know what that is. So they take it, and then we get the actual story. So Dr. Theodore Weiss is a German scientist. He's hauled to China to examine this particular village who's experiencing a new version of the plague, a plague which had killed his twin sister Sabine back when they were 12. And so his goal as a scientist is to figure out a way to cure the bubonic plague. That way there's no kind of suffering that has to happen like that ever again. So he takes back a shaman who was infected and to Germany and derives this black liquid, which he calls the toxic, and that's what is the purified version of this plague, that anybody who's infected becomes violent and vicious and mauling and eating people, but they get black liquid coming out of all the orifices and stuff like that. So it's like, why? So he realizes he can't have this in the hands of the German government because they're going to use it as a bioweapon. So he tries to escape, burns the lab down, gets to England right as the Titanic is about to sail off, barters a way of obtaining somebody else's ticket that way he can get on it. So then an agent does follow him onto the ship, but then it's a matter of who then kidnaps him on the ship, steals the toxic, rips his tooth out, and what's their ulterior motive when Weiss was saying, it's just colored cyanide, it's not actually the toxic, but it is the toxic. So then now it's a matter of how are people starting to get the flu-like symptoms below decks? How are they starting to how are they starting to spread this from person to person, thinking that the agent who went on board infected one person who then infected another and another, and then they realized, no, it happened too quick. How else would it have traveled so fast? Well, a la the original plague, fleas on rats. That's how it went so quickly around the world. I dropped my book. Unbelievable. So it's just an interesting conversation in regards to science, in regards to science fiction, in regards to plague aspect. But it's also interesting in regards to the historical fiction. While this stuff is going on, while the Titanic is currently sinking because it hit an iceberg, what happens when Thomas Andrews and Captain E.J. Smith and J. Bruce Ismay, who are actual humans, who had multiple aspects of importance within regards to this particular ship, maiden voyage. What happens when those characters are now monster hunting? It's interesting. It's very interesting. Seal the bulkheads so that the disease can't come out. Quarantine everybody. It's just it's a wild horror story because it gives full schematics of the ship. We got to travel through this stairwell to go through that duct to fight that monster. After going through that fan to get to that bakery, it's so cool. But it's also very descriptive. The visceral sounds, the breaking of bones, the slicing of limbs from the monsters in a fan, with the black ooze spraying everywhere. It gives a lot of visuals, and it's very interesting having that visuals for a horror story, for a kid's horror story. So I just loved how it was explained. I loved how the vial went down with the ship, if you will, after there was a battle on boat 6, lifeboat 6, to make sure that the toxic and those infected never, come in contact with humanity ever again. It's just very well done. I read this back in 2013, so this is the 10th anniversary of the book. Technically, because I'm currently recording this on New Year's Eve, December 31st of 2023. This is why I wanted to recap and see how many pages I actually read with all the books that I did read this year. So it's pretty neat seeing this again in my head, because I haven't seen this in my head for 10 years. So to come back to it, it's a great, not reminder, but recap, if you will. I just love the story. It'd be a great video game, it'd be a great TV series, it'd be a great movie. It'd be very well done. It would be very well done because it would be so entertaining. You have all this historical fiction, and everybody has always loved the Titanic and the mystery of the sinking since it first went down back in 1912. And now that we've surpassed the 100th anniversary, surpassed the 110th anniversary, it's just a matter of what happens next in regards to pop culture and making sure something like this never happens again. A lot of laws changed because of it. Having the whole back and forth between the senator and J. Bruce Ismay a couple days after they got back to New York for the first part of the trial, having that full stenographer back and forth was pretty neat to see as well. So Deck Z 2013 horror book from Scholastic, good old Scholastic. On to the next review. Mucho mahalo.